Hi everyone, and welcome back to Christmas Critters 2025, our series of super easy Christmas paintings for all your seasonal projects. Today we're painting 3 beginner-friendly whimsical Christmas sheep, full of character and festive charm, ideal for cards, tags, or even little gifts for sheepy friends and family. So get your brushes ready, settle in with a cup of something warm, and let's paint these cheerful Christmas sheep together. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone's well and happy. Today we're going to be painting 3 little slightly Christmassy sheep who actually could be adapted to be non-Christmassy. And here they are, you will have seen them probably in the introduction. Here's my 3 little sheep with their Christmas motifs here on the top and some sort of what we call stylized Christmas trees in the background. This is really easy and I'm sure that a lot of you will be really happy to just go ahead and and draw your own version of this, but if you want, you can go to our website dianeantone.com and you will be able to find the sketch there. That's not relevant, that was from last year. I've got a couple of other ones here which are ideas. Anyway, I've drawn it out here because I want to save time, but as I say, you've got the sketch online if you want it. Now I'm going to be using my Kuretake Art Nouveau set for this, and I'm going to select out the colours, and we've been talking about doing this for a while now. Somebody asked, and it was a very reasonable question, where do you get these palettes from, or these boxes or whatever? As I said before, this was one that I bought that had gold paints the same size as these in, and I just took them out and I'm using it. The reason is it's a mental thing with me, you see. I need to be able to restrict myself, otherwise I go all over the place with my paintings and get everything muddled up. Now I'm just picking out here some blue-greens to use for the trees in the background, and these 4 are all greens, and I'll put in the description below what their names are so that you can look them up. And here we are taking the colours of the sheep's fleeces, which are going to be made from those 3, and then this is a darker brown, which we'll use for their faces. And I might need a little bit, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I'll grab this one here, which is a black from the 48 set, a black or a brown. I might need a little bit of that, so I'll put that there, and this can go away for the minute. Right, so let's get started on this. No need to hang about. I've got a pot of clean water here, and it's a very simple little painting. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, and the tools that I have here, which I'm going to be using, obviously you need a pencil to draw it with. This is a carbon pencil, graphite pencil. It's a 6B, it's woodless, so it's all graphite, and these are very useful for doing the tracing. If you don't want to hold it up against the window and you haven't got a light box, then you can scribble on the back of the tracing paper that you've downloaded your print onto, and you can, do it like that. I've got a couple of acrylic markers here in the colours that I'm going to use to embellish my sheep. Those are probably Lightwish, can't remember, but they do them, and lots of other people do too. I've got a white pen here. This is a Signo gel pen. I've also got one of these little rubbers here, erasers here. It's a click thing. You can push it out, and that is so useful for erasing small things. And I'll put all of these in the description below in case you want to go shopping. This is a Winsor & Newton sepia pen, and this is size 0.5. I'm going to use that for the final touches. This is a black one in case you want to do it in black instead. This is white ink from Kuretake, which you might use, depends on how you are going to embellish your trees. You could use white ink instead of a pen like that one. So let us begin. I shall sit down and address my brushes. I forgot to bring with me my Princeton brushes, and I've only got these Craftmo ones here, which were from sets that we sold a couple of years ago, and then we disassociated ourselves from Craftamo for one reason and another. But this is about a size 6 round, or an 8 would do too. You can get them from Princeton. They're really good. I like Princeton brushes. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I use the Aqua Elite, which seems to work well for me. And in an ideal world, that's what I would use right now. I've also got my Meaden quill brushes here to use as well if I feel like it. But I use these a lot, and I do tend to use them for when I'm doing leaves and flowers and things like that. They're really perfect for that. And then I've got a couple of other sizes of round brushes. So, if we were talking about brushes and I was recommending to you as a beginner, if you were a beginner, or even if you just started recently and you wanted to improve what you've got, I would probably suggest to you that you purchase mostly round brushes, because all of these ones with funny, peculiar shapes, like this, which is flat and that shape, you don't really use them very often, and they can run out quite expensive. But for the vast majority of what I do, a 4, a 6, and an 8, or if you paint a little bit bigger, a 6, a 9, and a 12, something like that, are ideal, all in rounds, all in the standards. And if you're interested in, and I also haven't got those here either, and I don't know why, my Drawell brushes from Mr. Mayama in Japan, details in the description below. They are just perfect for my kind of art. Now I'm going to stop yakking. I think I'll use this one. I've got a palette here. This just for mixing on. It's not very good. It's already starting to stain with the quinacridone colours, but I didn't bring any of my ceramic ones. I much prefer the ceramic ones I've got from Meaden, but you can't carry this heavy stuff, and maybe I'll bring some next time, but I didn't bring any this time to my apartment in Cairo. So where do we begin? This is the story of life. Where do we begin? I'm going to begin with the sheep's fleeces, and this is very simple. So we'll use, just making sure that you can see everything, we'll use these beiges here for the sheep, for their fleeces, and I'm going to paint round their heads, and I'm just going to put paint, in, and I'm going to sort of drop it in a little bit blobby type of thing, going around the one on the next one's ear. This is a colour which is almost exactly the same as my sheep, who is called Larry. We called him Larry the Lamb. He was my first lamb when we started keeping sheep. He's my firstborn lamb, firstborn child. And we called him Larry because of Larry the Lamb, who was, do you remember? Was it Shari something or other? Was it Larry the Lamb with Shari, or did she have a different lamb? Anyway, Larry the Lamb was a toy from my childhood, so I couldn't resist calling him Larry. Yes, anyway, that's the colour of his fleece, and I knitted myself a jumper in that colour. So now the next one, this one here, let's see what that colour is. This is, yeah, that'll be fine. So we'll use that for that one, but I can't, no, wait a minute, I can't. I'll have to go to this one, that's right. Oh, dear me, I haven't had enough coffee today, obviously. We'll go to this one. It's not a very different colour, and I'm just going to paint the top of her head. This is a girl. This one could be Dora. Dora is Larry's auntie. She doesn't actually have antlers in real life. In fact, she hasn't even got any horns. Larry has, but he's tucked them up inside his hat because he wants to take care that he doesn't hurt anybody, because he's a nice boy. And yeah, so these are kind of rectangular sheep. I don't know if you remember the sheep I did a couple of years ago that became quite popular, and I did them, their bodies were just like shapes of puffy clouds kind of thing, and then I put some decorations on there with white pen, little hearts and little flowers and stuff like that. And they've been very popular over the years. So we've got two different colours of sheep. I'm keeping the shape a little bit rectangular. I want to do this one next, but I can't because they're both still wet. So what I'll do is I'll stop with the sheep and I'll go and paint the trees in the background, okay? I'll have to be careful not to put my hand in my wet sheep. And we'll start with these triangular sheep in the background here. And definitely haven't had enough coffee today. These triangular trees, not triangular sheep. Triangular sheep will be the next thing we paint. So I'm going to go along here just at random with various greens and sort of greeny blues. Doesn't matter if you mix them. In fact, it's better if you do. And they don't have to be geometrically, you know, perfect. Not at all. This is quite a nice dark green. Maybe we'll put that here. And these are going to be embellished when we come to the end, and we'll put some white lines on them. That's why I was saying you might want to use ink, or you might want to use fine liners, gel pens. Could use anything like that. Let's go with this colour mixed with this colour, I think. You don't have to do them super tiny. You just want a little bit of colour there so that we can see the embellishments. And if you make them reasonably dark, then gold would show up too. I should have got my gold pen out. We're getting there. And hopefully by the time I've done this, something looks like a wigwam. By the time I've done this, you could use a smaller brush for these actually. It probably would be easier, but that's okay. Doesn't matter if you have a little bit of a run there. The run's quite nice, actually. So let's see, is this dry? I'm going to whack the hairdryer on for a sec, because I don't actually want the sheep's fleeces to run into one another. I'm just being a bit picky about that. So we'll go for this colour in the middle. Now this painting, obviously it's very stylized. The sheep aren't at all realistic. But, you know, most Christmas cards these days that you see in the shops, well, I suppose to say most is probably not accurate because I haven't been in the shops looking at cards for years. But I do get the feeling from what you see online, for example, that generally speaking, sort of fine art cards, which we used to buy for Christmas, probably have become sort of a thing of the past, and people are going more for the cartoony type of things. I haven't had a real nice what I call a nice birthday card from anybody for ages. So there we are. Those 3 sheep are duly painted. Now we're going to paint in their legs, and we'll do that with dark brown. I'm not going to try to put too much detail into their legs, otherwise known as none. And you don't have to stay inside the lines. Don't worry about the shape. The less you worry, the better, really. Okay, so now we need to put their little faces in. I have kind of marked in where their eyes are going to be, but you won't be able to see them at this point because obviously I've painted over the pencil marks. So we just put their ears in too. It's quite nice if they run a little bit. Make this one a little bit darker, a little bit slightly different. Add a bit of that black. It's not necessarily want to make it totally much darker, but just a slightly different colour. Okay, and then this one, we'll mix some of this more orangey brown with a bit of black. So they're kind of coordinating. Oops. You can see what I did there, but we can take that out. I think that'll probably vanish as long as we do it quickly enough. So, yeah. Okay, so that now needs to dry too. And then we can paint the Christmassy embellishments, so to speak. I'm going to swap down the size to a slightly smaller brush just to make it a little bit easier for myself. And I have to grab a different colour from over here. This is Rose Madder Red, Rose Madder Rose, Rose Madder whatever. Any kind of reddish pink, pinkish red, reddy kind of colour will do. Test it out if you like on a piece of paper separately so you don't disappoint yourself. If you think that's not Christmassy enough, then we can grab some Vermillion and mix the two together. Vermillion is more orangey, so if we do that, we get a much more Christmassy kind of colour, yeah? So we'll do his hat, our friend Larry's hat. Okay, good. And then the robins. The way I paint robins for cards like this is just to put a little kind of smile on their chests like that. And when that's dry, we'll come back with some brown. And then we have these antlers here, and I don't really know what colour antlers are, but I'm going to assume they're sort of beige. So we'll do it in beige. I'm going to go around all the details probably with a pen. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is completely dry, this bird, but if it runs a little bit, it doesn't matter. I'll just try and leave a little line there so that it doesn't run, ideally. But if I fail and it touches and it runs, it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's good. Right, so now we're going to have to dry it so that I've got the faces and everything ready to put their features in. Now, features on sheep, to make them remotely realistic, I'm looking for a pencil. What I normally do, I mean, they're not really realistic. So let's say that's the shape of the head of the sheep. They have a nose that goes like this. And then for the purposes of doing something cartoony like this, we illustrate their nose with a little V, and then they have a division which comes down from their nose, and then they have a mouth, and their mouths are actually quite big because, of course, they do spend quite a lot of time chomping away at the grass. So it would be something along those lines. Hopefully you can see that. And then so you take sort of line up from the corners of their nose, and then their eyes are quite near the tops of their heads. And they're slanted, generally speaking, a little bit like that. Okay, and then of course their ears come out from the side, but we've already done their ears. So that's basically the format that I work on with my sheep's faces. Don't always do them quite like that, but that's basically the idea. So if you start from that kind of position, you'll probably be okay. So I'm going to do their features. I'm going to try and do them in brown. And so here we go. We imagine there's a nose there, and we can give them the nose, the division, and then their mouth. Nose, the division, and the mouth. And they can smile, you see. This one is looking a bit over to the side. She's looking at her friends. And then you can sometimes see where their eye should be. Sometimes the paint is really kind to you and it says, it's here, put it here. And that's exactly what's happened there. I'm going to give them some eyebrows, which they don't really have. And this one, I think one of her eyes is here. And the other one is here. And you can do their eyes sometimes like little sixes and backward sixes. This is a kind of 6. And this is a kind of backward 6 or an upside down 9. And that kind of works. And this one here, he's obviously got an eye here. He's got an eye for the girls. And the other eye is going to be here. Well done, Larry, you have arrived. And I'm going to go round their ears with the pen. Just giving them a bit more three-dimensionality. Okay, and let's do their legs. Not finished yet. Because if I don't do the legs now, I'll forget all about them. Let's do her antlers, or his antlers. Okay, so now we get to the birds. We'll put a little beak in there, go around the back. And if you watch how I do these birds, you'll see how really very easy they are. Little legs. We'll put the legs near to the back and we can do some feathers on here. I'm obviously feeling in a detailed kind of mood today. Okay, so that's that one. Making that up as I go along. this birdie, okay. Standing on Dora's head. And the hat. I'll put some blue in here in a minute to indicate shadow on the furry rim of the brim of the hat. Okay. Next thing I fancy doing is to embellish the trees. They're dry. So I'm going to use a pen, but you could easily use your white ink with a fine brush. And I'm going to just do whatever comes to mind. To embellish these trees just a little bit. They don't have to be sort of, you know, what's the word? They don't have to be too striking. Just give them a sort of a little bit of a... Wouldn't it be fun if you could go out and decorate all the Christmas trees in the forests at Christmas time? Wouldn't that be good? Okay, let's do this one. Just, it's not very big, so you need something simple. Okay. Oh, I know. I'll put some branches on this one. And this one can have some branches too. Can't really see that. It's too pale, but never mind. There we are, so that's all the trees decorated. Now we'll find some very pale blue. Take a little bit of this, very light, really light, and just put a little bit of shadow on this. And oh yes, and I wanted to put a little bit of a fold in his hat, like that. We'll go around the outside of it. Okay, and now the final, almost the final touch. The last thing is going to be what they're standing on and the sky, but before we go to that, we'll go to our acrylic markers, and I'm going to choose a colour. I've got 4 shades of browny orange here, and I hope it's going to work. So what have we got? Yeah, I think that would be quite nice for this one. So I'm not doing anything terribly tricky, but it does make a difference. It makes them more whimsical. Look how there's a nice amount of texture already on that paint because of what I did. Did you notice? I did the background colour and then I just fed in a little bit more of the same colour, and that gave it this kind of texture. So that's quite interesting how that worked. And then let's see, this one wants to be something similar to itself. I don't know if that's going to show up. Not that one. Let me see. Oh, I got a darker brown. Maybe this is. Yeah, that'll do. So let's do some nice little, almost like hearts, but very quick. Yeah, they look like hearts, don't they? And this one of my favourite things to do, I think I used that one already, didn't I? Yeah, I think that'll do. One of my favourite things to do, no, not dark enough. Okay, we resort to this one, I think. Unless I've got something else. Would that work? I think I just tried that. Maybe I will use that actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of my favourite things is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 in the middle. You could do these sheep in any colour. They would be fun if you did them in pastels or even primaries, but for Christmas, and you could do them in blues actually, for Christmas would be quite nice, wouldn't it? So there we are, they are now suitably embellished. I can give them a little bit of white in their eyes, just a tiny bit. You have to be very careful not to make them look like something they aren't. So that'll do. And then I'm going to go to the blue. The question is, am I going to use a real blue, or am I going to use this blue for the sky? It sort of makes sense to stick with the colour. Like I said, if you go to another colour, you might find that you don't like the result. So we'll try to be a little bit cautious here. So I'll just put in a little bit of sky around those trees. And we're not going to try and paint up to them. We'll just leave them nice and loose. And we'll put a little bit of shadow underneath to show where the hill is. All very whimsical. And then just a little bit stronger. And I'm going to put one stroke, just make sure I've got it right. One stroke there. And one stroke there. And don't come back into it, just leave it. It's best if you do. So there we are. It's not dry yet, but there we are. That's our card or picture or painting or whatever. Christmas Sheep 2025. I hope you enjoyed that. Have fun with it. Do give it a try. Sketches on our website, and you'll find out how that all works when you pop over there and take a look at what's on the website. So I'll let you go, and I'll see you again in a couple of days. And I think I'm going to do an owl next. Would you like an owl? A whimsical owl? So I'll leave you with that thought, and I'll see you again soon, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.